Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the weekly strategy session from the Lazio campaign. We're going to start out this week with our weekly feature of Meet the Staff Member. Barney, nobody wants to see you again.
What?
Okay,
What?
please. We got numerous complaints about your appearance.
That's ridiculous.
So please leave.
I was just on my BlackBerry.
This week we're going to meet Tara Snow, our finance director. Say hello, Tara.
Greetings.
How are you?
Hello.
How did we do this week?
We did great this week. We had a big event with Mayor Giuliani on Monday where we raised well over what we expected. The money is really starting to come in. We are making a final push just before the convention, so Rick Lazio will be in good standing when he is the Republican and Conservative Party nominees come June.
Great. Thank you, Tara.
We're very excited.
So Tara is being modest. Her and her team actually raised well over six figures at that Giuliani event. It was a wonderful event. Chairman Mike Long was there. City Councilman Ulrich and Halloran were there. The great John Whitehead was there. And obviously Rudy was there. And the room, we probably had over 200 people. The room was full of energy. Everybody was fired up. Here's a little clip, a little insider's peek at how the fundraiser went.
We've got to change the way in which we redistrict. We've got to change so many things. So we need a governor that can take on those battles. Rick Lazio gives us a tremendous chance to do that. We know we can trust him to do the things that have to be done in Albany. They're going to be really tough, but I have every confidence that he'll be able to do it. He's going to need your support. Here is our next governor, Rick Lazio.
Yeah, so that was just a little snippet of the event. It was really wonderful. Now, on the political front, we are now 19 days left until the convention. And I said last week in the strategy session about how, if you look at the actual delegates versus the county chair, how well we're doing. And in that respect, we've got a number of emails asking for a little more detail about that, so I'm happy to go a little bit more in depth into this. So kind of an interesting way to look at it is the Times-Union did an independent survey of where the county chairs are, and put aside for a moment whether that survey is actually accurate. I think if you look a little more in depth into it, we're doing better than it shows, but let's assume for now, be conservative, that it is accurate. You can see here on this chart that according to the Times-Union, Rick has got 51.5% of the vote. Steve Levy has 31.56% of the vote, and Carl Palladino has 6.93% of the vote. So let's assume that those are accurate for a moment. And let's also engage in a little exercise. Let's just look at if you look at weighted votes, Steve Levy's top two counties, based on weighted vote, and where, if we look more deeply into those, where we are. So his number one county is Suffolk County. Suffolk County represents 9.74% of the weighted vote. Now, Rick spent his whole life in Suffolk County. He represented Suffolk County in Congress. In 2000, when he ran against Hillary, he carried Suffolk County by almost 20 points. He's been a lifelong Republican and knows the lifelong Republicans on Long Island very well. So I think if you're going to be even conservative, Rick is going to get 50% of that vote, probably more. But let's be conservative and say 50%. So 50% of that is 4.87% of the vote. So if you give Rick that 4.87% and take it away from Steve Levy, here's what the numbers look like. Rick is now at 56.37% of the weighted vote, and Steve Levy is at 26.69. So you're already beginning to see in just the first county on his list a significant shift. Now let's move down the list. The second biggest county in terms of weighted vote on Steve Levy's list is Queens County. Queens County represents 3.95% of that vote. Now again, let's be conservative and say we've only got 50% of that vote. Just from talking to folks, that number is actually a little bit higher than that, if not significantly higher. But let's just assume 50% to be safe. That's 1.975. So when you give that to Rick and take that away from Steve Levy, let's see what the numbers look like. Our lead jumps and Steve Levy drops below 25%. Rick is at 58.345 and Steve Levy drops to 24.715. And so that's just a little look at just two counties. Just for example, the top two counties on his list, when you begin to look deeper into them, what happened to the numbers. And when you go down the list and look at all the other counties, in each of the counties, those delegates are in play. And the reason they're in play is because Steve Levy, surprisingly, is a lifelong liberal Democrat who has supported every liberal Democrat who has run for office, and he has supported every liberal Democratic policy in the history of mankind. So it's easy to understand why in each of those counties, those delegates are at play, and we will take a significant number of them. Now, the other sort of interesting thing to look at is the wild card county out there, or I guess if we're talking cards in this case for Steve Levy, it's more the old maid card than the wild card, which is Erie County. Now, Erie County represents 6.93% of the vote, and they have voted to support their local native son, Carl Palladino. Now, I understand that Carl is going to be coming to the Republican convention and giving a speech, and we're looking forward to hearing that. But Carl, actually, as a registered Republican, can get on the ballot by going the petition route. And I understand that he's saying that he is going to do that. So if we assume that, and that he doesn't get to 25% at the convention, and so he's going to go the petition route, what happens to that 6.93%? Well, Erie County has a great new Republican chairman out there, Nick Langworthy, and I'm sure he's going to sit with his committee people, and they're going to make their own independent decision. But I just want to give you a little window into the thinking in Erie County and what folks are saying out there. So this is a quote from the Albany Times-Union. It is from Jim Domolgowski, who was the county chairman out there until just a couple days ago. And he said, as you can see, our state committee has met and talked about it as a group. And we have respect for County Executive Levy, but he's a fairly liberal Democrat. And when you look at his record of support for very liberal Democrats and his history of supporting Sheldon Silver, things like that would not make him a candidate for us. And he goes on to say that, I don't think Steve Levy will have any support from Erie County. And so if you take that 6.93% and move it to the Lazio column, let's see what happens to the numbers. Wow, that's going to leave a mark. Lazio 65.275 and Levy 24.715. And that's just a little, example of just a few counties and what's actually happening with the numbers out there. So it's clear to us that at this point, the Levy campaign is just managing its own obsolescence, and it's going to be a really long 19 days for them. While for us, we're really looking forward to this convention and spending time with our fellow lifelong Republicans on June 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And look, just for a second, to look past the campaign, then we're turning our sights on Andrew Cuomo. And Andrew, we're coming for you, so be ready. Andrew has just about every special interest funding his campaign, from Local 1 to Local 500. They're all with Andrew Cuomo. And with Rick Lazio is the common, everyday person who is sick and tired of what government has become. They're tired of government that overreaches, overtaxes, and overspends, and Rick Lazio will be their voice. And we need your help to fight back against these special interests. So anything you can do for the campaign would be great. Go to lazio.com, sign up to volunteer, sign up for updates, join our social networking sites, and most importantly, please donate. So go to lazio.com and donate, and we'll see you next week back here on the weekly strategy session.